Get ready with me while I talk about the pros and cons of living in Philly versus the pros and cons of living in New York City. For context, I lived in Philly for 10 years and then I moved to New York City last May, so take that how you will. I'm going to start with the pros and cons of Philly first, and then I'll do the pros and cons of New York City. The first pro to Philly is that there's a really great food scene, and not just the cheesesteaks, even though I really miss the cheesesteaks, but also there's a lot of really great restaurants in Philly, and I think the food scene is very underrated. My second pro to Philly would be the Eagles, and if you know, you know, there's just such an excitement and such a dedicated fan base in Philly. That leads me to my third pro of Philly, which is the vibe of the city. I don't know how to describe it. Unless you've been in Philly or you've lived in Philly, you wouldn't really understand, but there's just nothing like Philly, and Philly has its own culture, and we love that for them. Okay, so my first con of Philly would be the nightlife, and when I say that, I don't mean that there's not a nightlife, because there definitely is, but there was maybe like 5 or 6 bars that I would go out to, and those were really it. Like, those were the only places that you would see your friends. It was very like compact, like everyone was going to the same bars and restaurants. And then my second con of Philly would be the public transit. And when I say that, again, I don't mean that there's not any public transit, but it's just not as accessible as New York. And then my third con of Philly would be that there are just some areas that you do not want to venture into. And obviously that comes with any city, but there were some places, like I lived on a block where if you walked 2 blocks over, there was drug addicts and just not a great scene. Okay, so now on to my pros of New York City. So my first one would be the networking and the opportunities. I think that's probably a classic and what New York City is most known for, but there's someone for everyone here. There is always something going on, and if you put yourself out there enough, you will find the opportunities and find the people that you need to meet. My second pro of New York City is that public transit is amazing here. It's fast, it's mostly reliable, and you can get almost anywhere in the city, any of the 5 boroughs, for $2.90. Okay, and then my last pro of New York, this is probably cliche too, but all of your friends will want to come and visit you. This is not a tough sell of a city. It's not Oklahoma, no offense Oklahoma, but it is a great city for people to come and visit. So even if you have trouble making friends in the beginning, all your pets will want to come and visit you. And then getting into the cons of New York City, so obviously the first one has to be that it is expensive. I mean, I think everyone, when you think of New York City, you think of higher rent prices, higher prices of food and drinks, and all the other things that are associated with life. My second con, kind of jumping off of that, it is so difficult to move into the city. And when I say that, I don't mean like the actual physical process of moving in, but like finding an apartment and then having enough money to put all of that down towards a broker's fee, or if you get lucky enough, you still have to put down a security deposit. They take the rental applications really seriously, so they review them, they take your credit, they take all this other information about you that you never thought a realtor company would care about or a building management company would care about. Last con to New York City would be how noisy it is. There is always something going on, and I feel like I've toned it out. Like, I don't really notice it anymore, but there are times where like I'm just trying to go to sleep and I hear like a siren going or people screaming outside, and I live in like a quieter neighborhood, but still it's pretty loud. So yeah, that's just my take it how you will. But if I am comparing the 2 cities for myself personally, I love New York City. I think it definitely beats out Philly. I loved Philly for what it was. I studied undergrad there, and then I stayed there for 6 years after, so I love that city so much, and I'm so appreciative of everyone that I've met there and all the experience I've had in that city. But New York was always my dream since I was young, and I absolutely love it here, and I don't think I will ever move. So that is all. Bye!